guys, and welcome to the show. And today, as promised, I'm doing my review of the Orient Bambino. And please forgive my rather raspy baritone voice. It's that time of year again, and for some reason I always get a cold this time of year. But anyway, I will continue and soldier on. So now I did do a video where I talked about this watch briefly, and I mentioned that it was a gift from a friend and they were really curious to see what I think of it. A bit of an awkward situation because you know, if I really didn't like it, it's a bit rude to critique a gift, but it's somebody very close to me, and you know, they really didn't mind. And to be honest, so far for a watch of this price range, it's quite is amazing the right word? Yeah, amazing is the right word. So let's have a look at it. Let's have a closer look, and I'll just read you the model number. And this is the Orient Bambino Classic SER2400DB0, and this is a 21 jewel automatic, in-house, made in Japan. As you can see from the, there we go, now we're in focus. As you can see, made in Japan. And this is the caliber 48743 movement. And as you can see, it's got quite a nice sweep to it. Now, this is obviously a 1950s inspired vintage design. And this is actually the second version of the Bambino. The original Bambino had just baton hour markers, whereas this has Roman numerals on every other baton. So you have that could be a 1, I guess, but it's just a stick baton, and then the 2, the date, 4 there, and then another stick, then a Roman numeral, then a stick. So and it gives it a very kind of classic, tasteful, sophisticated look, and it's just done absolutely impeccably. I mean, the way, I mean, you guys know I have a date just with Roman numerals, and the execution on the dial here is flawless. So we have a 40mm case with a thickness of 12mm, and lug to lug is 46, and an unusual lug width of 21mm, which I feel is a little bit too large. I think in keeping with the design of this watch, it would have been nice if it was maybe a 20mm or just a flick smaller. I think would have been a bit more refined. You have the crown here at 3 o'clock next to the date. Nice responsive crown here, no screw-in obviously because it's not a dive or anything like that. Water resistance 30 meters, so you know, it's basically, you know, take it off if you're gonna wash your hands or do the washing up or anything like that. We have this quite tall domed mineral crystal, and people have said it does scratch quite easily, and for this price point, you know, I'm not going to complain too much. You know, it would have been nice to have a sapphire, but you know, for under $200, I'm really not going to complain. Let's look at the dial now. So this is definitely the best feature of the watch, and what makes it stand out to its, I guess you'd say, rivals, is this just very classic, tastefully done, and very well proportioned dial. We have two, sorry, just knocked the camera. We have two outer scales here, one indicating seconds. It's just very, very nicely done. The hands are slightly thinner and smaller than the previous Bambino, highly polished, and I feel it goes with the Roman numerals very, very well. And I think they probably did that to complement the Roman numerals. So you have all applied Roman numerals and batons here. Really nice. Let's see how we can zoom in there. I really like the applied logo even, and it has just that flick of red. I mean, they could have not even bothered, but I think it's just done so well. This kind of little bit of heraldry in their logo there, which is really, really nice. So we have a mix of polished surfaces, and then satin finish as well, and it's continued on the lugs there. Absolutely stunning. I mean, I can't, it doesn't look like, you know, I think my friend paid about $120 for this. It just doesn't look, it doesn't look that cheap, does it? I mean, it looks a lot more expensive, and I think, you know, I'm not really a dress watch type of guy, but something as affordable as this, it's you know, it's not that much to add to your collection, and to have a, you know, in-house, really robust Japanese made movement. It's just fantastic. Really can't believe it, really. Now let's look at the downfalls. First of all, I'm really not a big fan of the strap. It's got to be said. It's a little bit cheap looking. Obviously, they you know, you can't have everything at this price point. I would have loved it to taper down a bit more, just to give it that more kind of sophisticated, a little bit more refinement. It doesn't seem to taper at all. Haven't measured it, but it doesn't seem to taper that much, or at all, in fact. And also, I'm not a big fan of the buckle here. The buckle, to me, if we just look at the watch and then look at the buckle, it's not really in keeping. The buckle's very contemporary looking, and the watch is very you know, 1950s, so to me it doesn't really work. But you know, I think if you put your own strap on this, a nice Hirsch strap perhaps, something a little bit more smarter, a little bit more not as cheap looking, then the buckle would be of a little bit more higher quality and design. So that's not really an issue for me, because you know, I'm probably going to change this strap. So but it is genuine leather, and you know, it's sturdy, it's pretty well made, the stitching's done well. I just don't like this kind of glossy faux kind of what is that, crocodile or something. So this kind of just doesn't look as quality as if we just look at the watch itself. You know, I think what I might do, I might put a high quality strap on this later and do a follow-up video. Excuse me. So let's have a look at the back. Made in Japan, Orient. Haven't even taken the sticker off really. Automatic, stainless steel, blah blah blah. Just a bog standard screw down case back. Nothing really to write home about. Another negative is there is no signed crown. Would have been a nice touch to have the logo again on the crown, but you know, at this price point, you can't really be too fussy, can you? So now, how does the crown actually feel? There is no screw down, it's just simply pull it out. Very responsive, very easy to use. There is no manual winding on this. That's another little bit of downer, but the rotor is very responsive, and I must admit it does has a 40-hour power reserve, and it winds very easily. It's very sensitive to your movement, and the rotor is very fluid, and you can it does have a nice tick to it. It does sound nice. It doesn't feel cheap, or it doesn't feel, actually it doesn't feel like a watch of this price range. It feels, you know, something a bit more expensive. So you got a 40-hour power reserve, which is a good amount, you know. For this price, I think it's really, really good. So there we go, on the wrist. Now, this is a 40mm case, and personally I think it's a tad too big. You know, if you imagine my date dress is 36, and a lot of watches from the vintage, you know, a lot of vintage watches are of that kind of size, and I think 40 is just a fraction too big. If this was a 38, it really would be, you know, a little bit more sophisticated. But I understand the demand for larger watches these days, and 40 isn't too bad. So in conclusion, this is, in fact, I've just realized, this is the cheapest watch I've ever owned. And for the cheapest watch I've ever owned, it's really not that bad. It's quite impressive. It's ironic that it's the cheapest watch I've ever owned, but probably looks the most expensive. But you know, it's not strong enough for me to start denouncing all my higher end pieces. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna start selling my Rolexes or my Omegas or even my really high-end pieces like my Charles Frodsham. I'm not gonna be in any rush to get rid of those. But having said that, for what it is and what you get for the money, it is very, very impressive. And you know, you got to take your hats off to the Japanese for being able to pull off such a high quality product for so little. It's quite unbelievable, really. As I said, I'm not in any rush to sell all my higher end pieces. I think the beauty is of something like this is that it is affordable. It is easily available, and you know, it's just a nice addition to the collection. Now, there is a white dialed version of this, and the difference mainly being, apart from the dial color, is the applied markers are in a kind of rose gold. But I feel that this black dial is kind of a bit more, a little bit more easily matched with different kind of outfits, and you know, I mean, this would go really nicely with a suit or even just casual attire. And as my first kind of foray into Orient watches, it isn't that bad. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. This being my first Orient, it delivers hands down. I mean, there's really, apart from tiny little design flaws in terms of the strap and this rather modern buckle, you know, it's a cracking little watch. Okay guys, I think I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. This cost about, I got it for, well, my friend got it for $120, and I believe you can still buy them on eBay for that amount. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. If you want a vintage piece but don't want to take the risk of something that is going to be quite expensive to service and maintain, you know, just over $100 you can get something like this, which I think is a really good way to go. Okay guys, I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and catch you next time. Okay, ciao.